When my family and I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, one of the most daunting tasks when making the decision was understanding the Phoenix metro area. There's East Valley, West Valley, the Phoenix area, Scottsdale. There's many different areas and each one is broken up in cities. Each city is broken up in different types of cost of living and entertainment and schools and districts. And it took a while for us to understand. On top of that, we had a friend on the east and one friend on the west. They were the only two people we know, and each one was fighting for their side as to why that side was best. So on this video, what I'm gonna cover is what we learned on our research process and what I've been able to learn here after a year of living here about the West Valley, Phoenix, East Valley, Scottsdale, and where do you and your family fit in best. So let's go for it. Hey everyone, this is Camilo Quevedo with eXp Realty. If you haven't already, make sure that you click subscribe right there and hit that bell so you get notified every time I make a video. I'm making a video every single week letting you know about Phoenix, Arizona metro area. The places, the ins, the outs, the good, the bad, the ugly, and where it is that you fit in best as you're planning your move here to Phoenix. Also, I've been getting a lot of calls of people asking me questions, trying to move here to the Phoenix areas, and I've been able to help multiple people find their dream home and find the perfect place that fit their lifestyle. So if you are thinking you have questions or you're in the process of deciding to move to the Phoenix area, make sure that you give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. Let me know so I can help you. Maybe you can come down, I'll drive you around to see the different areas and make sure that you end up in the place that is gonna fit in the most with your lifestyle. Now, my family and I, we moved from San Diego to Phoenix a little bit over a year ago. And trying to understand the metro area is something that I'm still, up to this point, still trying and working on. So first I figured out, let's be clear about what Phoenix metro area is and how it looks like. So let me pull up here the map. So you'll be able to see right here. So this is the entire Phoenix metro area. And it can be divided by 3 or 4, depending if you are a local or if you're just looking at it geographically. So first, let me pull up here. So this will be Phoenix right there in the middle, which as you can see, really divides the map in 3, east, middle, and west. If you're looking there at the map, if you look towards on the left-hand side, that's what's going to be considered the West Valley. Now, the West Valley is going to have Buckeye, Avondale, Goodyear, El Mirage, Litchfield Park, Glendale, Peoria, Surprise, Sun City, and Sun City West. So that will be considered the West Valley. Now, depending on whether you're a local or you're from out of town, the East Valley can either be this entire area right here, or for locals, it's actually going to be divided more like this. So on the northeast is going to be Scottsdale. Scottsdale has managed to keep its own identity. So you're gonna, as you see your local stalking, whenever they mention the East Valley, normally and for most of them, they're actually avoiding or they're actually excluding Scottsdale from that section. Which means that for the actual East Valley, or what most people refer to the East Valley, is going to be more like southeast. And that's going to be Tempe, Mesa, Guadalupe, Gilbert, Chandler, Queen Creek. For some people, they even include Apache Junction, even though that actually is in a completely different county. It's in Pinal County. But some people add the Apache Junction into what is considered the East Valley of Phoenix. So for most people, this is what the Phoenix area looks like. Phoenix Metro is going to be West Valley, Phoenix, Scottsdale area, and the East Valley, which is going to be really, in reality, is more like Southeast Valley. As I mentioned, when we moved here, we only knew 2 families in the Phoenix area. We had a family in West Valley and we have family in East Valley. And even if they're not like true, like fully devoted locals, you can still hear in their voice that there's like a rivalry between the two. Each valley tends to, for some reason, talk bad about the other valley. They don't like the other valley, they dislike it, they don't act. It's not like there's violence or anything like that, but you can hear it when they're talking about the other side of town, that there's certain dislike, there's certain like putting down the other side as not as good, as not as a wonderful Arizona living as you hear about. So they're like, East Valley is where the living is, West Valley, it's okay, and vice versa. West Valley is where you really get to live the Arizona life. East Valley, not so great. So there's certainly a local rivalry between East and West. I don't have a side that I have picked yet. I do live on the West Valley, but I do see all the value that the East Valley also has to offer. So hopefully I'm gonna try to break it down here to you so you can get to pick which side it is, the one that you are gonna be able to live in and actually meet your needs. As I was listening and hearing and learning about this feud between East and West, I started hearing a lot of things about the West that I just didn't experience myself. So normally, if you're looking or reading anything about the West Valley, you're gonna hear a lot about desert, about just nothing there, tumbleweeds and horse ranches. That's all there's there. And based on what I've seen, that might have been true about 10 or maybe even 5 years ago, but it's definitely not true today. As a matter of fact, in the West Valley, we have Buckeye and Goodyear, which are among the fastest growing cities in the US according to the census in 2019. We actually have Buckeye, I'm looking at here, Buckeye comes at number 2 and Goodyear comes at number 14 as the fastest growing cities in the nation. So there's definitely the whole tumbleweed, there's nothing there, is no longer the case. But as you're driving through these cities, you do get to understand why that is. Because there's still a lot of the old West Valley still here. So it's a very interesting experience because as you're driving by, you get to drive by these, what you call like tore down houses that you can tell they're being aged, that you can tell the houses that have been in the desert for many years. And then the next block, you come into this beautiful planned neighborhood community with lakes and with a golf course and parks and green and brand new homes. So it's a very interesting thing as you, especially in the West Valley, as you drive around, because you're constantly going through this contrast of beautiful neighborhoods and old desert type neighborhoods. So as you're driving by, you're going to be able to recognize that and be able to see that. So as you go in your research and you start reading about how there's nothing on the West Valley, there's nothing there, that's just no longer the case. So I would recommend look at the date that it was posted or look at the date that it was written to see how much that actually looks like in reality. Now, I mentioned how Goodyear and Buckeye are 2 of the top 15 fastest growing cities in the nation. And that's not leaving the East behind. The East is also experiencing incredibly growth. They're just a little bit different. On the east side, most of the cities are already landlocked. They're not able to expand. So a lot of this growth is happening in high risers and apartment buildings. So they're starting to grow high. They're starting to grow up. On the west side, on the contrary, there's a lot of space still open. That's why the people talk that there's nothing but desert and open land. There's still a lot of open land. So the West is expanding in planned neighborhood communities. So that's why you see in the West, you'll see a lot of single family homes. You'll see a lot of gated communities. You see a lot of grass. On the East, you see a lot of high rises. You see a lot of cranes. You see a lot of building constructions. So that's a little bit of the difference of how growth is happening on both sides. But both sides are experiencing tremendous growth at this time. So one of the main differences that I've seen, or at least how my brain understands it or sees it, is the East Valley. It feels more like a growing city. So that's why you start seeing sky risers. That's why you start seeing construction of apartments. There's a lot more condos. It feels a little bit more compacted, so it feels like there's more people in smaller spaces. On the west, it feels more like a suburbs. So that's where you see family homes, single family homes. They all have nice yards. there's more space, even like hole on the walls restaurants are actually nice buildings. So it feels more like suburbia versus a small growing city. And for me, that's kind of like being the main difference between the two of them. And you'll see it as I continue to go through this video, that it's actually kind of how it sounds like. So when it comes to entertainment, the East Valley definitely has the West Valley covered. Like I mentioned, they're more established. They actually have downtowns. They have more malls. They have more stores. They have more restaurants. So the museums, the zoos, the aquariums, all of that is usually on the East Valley. So definitely when it comes to entertainment, East Valley definitely is a city. Like I mentioned, it feels like a growing city that has all of those. West Valley, not so much, even though because of the amount of land that was available and how cheap it was, the cities have been trying to move more towards west. And it started by bringing the Cardinal Stadium, the NFL Stadium, into Glendale, which is in the West Valley. By doing that, the West Valley is starting to grow. The NASCAR racetrack is also on the West Valley. The NHL, the Coyotes hockey stadium is on the West Valley. So the West Valley is starting to bring this sports venues and more activities in. So it's starting to catch up, but it's still not as much as the East. So for most people that are coming to Phoenix to spend a day on Phoenix and just get to know Phoenix, chances are they're not gonna get to the West Valley. There's really not a lot of things to go look at the West Valley so you experience Phoenix. It's mostly gonna be either Phoenix or the East Valley. When it comes to jobs, because the West Valley is more established and to a certain degree closer to the Phoenix downtown, then it tends to have better and higher paying jobs, more like the tech industries, the medical industries. They tend to be more towards the East Valley, which also rises a little bit the income, the medium income there. West Valley is more like suburbia, so most people that have those high paying jobs are doing a commute towards either Phoenix or the East Valley. Obviously there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of the typical suburban jobs available, but when it comes to job market, it's only going to be focused either on Phoenix or more towards the East Valley side. Which also then we have to talk about traffic and commute. Like I mentioned, most jobs are going to be Phoenix or East Valley, which makes the West Valley, you're going to have to drive. It's suburbia, it's open fields, it's open spaces, which you're going to be very dependent on a car to be able to get anything and do anything. The West Valley depends on where you are. If you're living somewhere like Mesa or more like Apache Junction, or the farther east you go, the more dependent you are on a car. Still, as a whole, the whole Phoenix metro area is extremely big. So for the most part, you are gonna need a car here, regardless of where you live. Just how long you're gonna be in that car is gonna really be a lot less if you're in the East Valley than you're in the West. As we continue here learning about Phoenix, make sure that you subscribe, hit that button, hit the bell, get notified every time I make a video. I'll be here every week teaching you and showing you what you need to know and learn about the Phoenix metro area. So if you're looking to make a move here, if you're thinking of moving, or you just have questions and you're still very early in the process, hey, don't hesitate. Send me a text, shoot me an email, give me a call, nights, weekends. I'll be here. I'll be happy to assist you and show you or answer any questions you have about Phoenix area, about where to look like, what style, what living you want to have, and even drive you around if that's what you need. As we were moving here, I have a now 6-year-old. When we moved, she was 5. She was going into kindergarten, and obviously then schools became a good and an important reason for us as we were making the decision to where to move here in Phoenix. So when it comes to that, the East Valley is more established, which means they have better schools. Or in a better way, there's more schools that are good schools in the East Valley than there are on the West Valley. I'm looking here, let me pull up here, niche.com, and they have school ratings. And looking here, out of the top 5, we have Chandler, Scottsdale, and Gilbert. So the first top 3 are all on the east. 4 Peoria, which is in the west, and 5 Tempe, which is again on the east. So 4 out of top 5 school districts in the Phoenix area are going to be on the East Valley. One of them is going to be on the west. Now that doesn't mean that you cannot find good schools on the west. My daughter's in a school that is rated 9 out of 10. So there is fantastic schools in the West Valley. They're just not as many as there are on the east. So you might have to do a little bit more research, put a little bit more effort into finding a good school in the west. That's what you do in the east. What really tipped the balance over for us to go to the west side was cost of living. When we moved from San Diego, we had a very specific budget that we didn't want to go over. And as we were looking for options for us, we realized that if we moved to the East Valley, the best that we could do would be like a 3-bedroom apartment. Yes, apartments would have the pools, the gyms, and all the amenities that come with that. We were just tired of living with people above or below us or on each side. Plus we had our brand new baby, which we knew she was gonna be running soon. So for us, with the same budget that we had for a 3-bedroom apartment, we were able to find a very nice and big 4-bedroom home with a nice backyard on the West Valley, actually on Surprise. So for us, for what we were going through, knowing that we were in the middle of a pandemic as well, we wanted to have as much space as we possibly could. My daughter's been loving riding her scooter inside the house. My youngest one now is running and just creating a chaos everywhere. But for us, it was just better to have that space, even though for me personally, I was gonna have to be more creative on things to do. I had to entertain myself. But for us and our family, it was the best decision to just to get more space for what we were paying and live a more comfortable life in that sense. So like I said before, if you are just in the process, even if you're just starting to think about moving to Phoenix and you have all these questions that we had to go through, send me a text, give me a call, or shoot me an email. Let me know. It could be as simple as, hey Camilo, we're thinking of moving. What do you think about this area or this specific side? Can you make a video about this city or about this subject? And I would love to be able to help you, guide you, and make sure that you end up in the right place where that fits your needs and fits your lifestyle. So with that said, guys, that's it. That's kind of what I've been able to learn so far about the East and the West. Next week, again, I'll be over here with a video. Until then, I'll see you then.